What is up, Doe? Welcome to the late edition, Wizards After Dark. When stuff gets weird. So, of course, the topic that we're going to have to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder coming into the nation's capital tomorrow evening to take on your Washington Wizards. We know what the topic is. We know the main storyline on everything. Mr. Kevin Durant. Seat Pleasant, Maryland, PG County, DC Assault, Texas, Oklahoma City. Mama Durant's from here, still lives here. His brother still lives here. Seat Pleasant, I actually looked up in Google Map, is less than a mile from RFK Stadium. For those wondering where Seat Pleasant is, welcome. Is that Ben? With me is Mr. Ben Standig. We got to get into KD to DC. Here's the deal. Before we get into this, the reason I'm willing to talk about this is because there is a game tomorrow with Kevin Durant and the Washington Wizards. If you want me to talk about this a month from now, I'm probably not going to want to talk about it tonight. Right now, I think it is fair game. So I'm all in to talk about all things Kevin Durant. I want you to begin. KD to DC movement. Let's just talk about, before we start, just your thoughts of Kevin Durant back in his hometown of DC. Just your overall assessment is a bad word because he's one of the best players in the world. Kevin Durant in DC, go. Give me a storyline. You're the media guy.
I mean, it would be. Man, sorry, my finger's going nuts. It would be. It's the stuff that stories are written about the hometown kid coming back home with the hope of leading the city that he's from to a title that they haven't had in forever. And obviously, we're seeing it with LeBron and in Cleveland. There's more circumstances there because of the past, whereas Durant has never been here. It would obviously be a tremendous thing. At the end of the day, basically, it comes down to, assuming nothing changes for either side, whether Durant wants to play at home. I have no idea. I don't think any of us do. I'm not convinced that he does. I'm convinced that he would want to. I'm not convinced that he wants to deal with the day-to-day pressures of that. So I think it would be great. It's obviously a really interesting fit with him and Wall and Beal. Beyond that, we got a ways to go.
How much do you think that me and Kyle discussed this on an earlier Picks and Roll show? How much is this whole thing manufactured by that? If LeBron just didn't go back to Cleveland and home, and this is the media narrative, right? In sports, he writes a letter, he kind of, he finds contrition with Dan Gilbert and everyone. Is the media in the chatter, I know it's still there. Is it more so because of the LeBron situation, they see Kevin Durant, that this is the reason why there's so much chatter about it, because of the LeBron thing? Do you feel that's a huge role of this, or will this always be there because Kevin Durant is from here and he's a free agent and it's kind of gonna be a story no matter what?
Probably that. I think it's a perfect storm of things happening. If the Wizards had still been the JaVale McGee, Andre Black's Wizards, and Kevin Durant was a year and a half after being a free agent, I don't know if anybody would even think about it for half a second that he would actually come back to play here. At least not anybody would, not like he would be attracted to it. But the Wizards did make the playoffs last year, made the Eastern Conference semifinals. John Wall and Bradley Beal are up and coming stars in this league. It appears. There is the LeBron thing to a degree. Also, everybody likes Kevin Durant. He's easy to wrap your arms around. People didn't burn his jerseys. They did with LeBron, and Kobe gets booed when he goes back to Philadelphia. There's not any of that. Durant is here. He comes back here in the off season. He's definitely a part of the community. He went to high school here. All that. There's so much about it. So on top of the fact that he's one of the,
I didn't add Montrose in there too as well. That's a huge one.
Yeah. So on top of the fact he's one of the 2 or 3 best players, in the league. So all of it together, he seems like a good guy. It just makes it an easy easy package. And he's never hidden the fact that he grew up a Wizard Bullets fan, that he's loves the area. He's not. Some people don't want to stay home anymore. People we know, it doesn't have to be professional athletes. People are like, you know what? That was then. I gotta go. And he doesn't at the moment seem to be openly saying that. That said, he went to college out of town for the 1 year. So maybe that's a sign. But it's at least interesting he's not to this point shut it down completely. I would have. I mean, CSN J. Michael, reported the day Trevor Ariza left that the part of the calculus for the Wizards was letting him not giving Ariza the 4-year deal, because I guess there's some sense that they're going to go for Durant, and if they're going to say that, then they probably must have a belief that he's at least open to listening.
Yeah, the thing is that I think that his, everyone has a home. Everyone is genuine about the home. Sometimes I think that we overrate people want to stay at home, especially like, oh, why did you go to college here? Well, maybe you don't want to be around your parents no more, or you want to take off. I think in Kevin Durant's situation, especially now, he generally is a Redskins fan. He generally comes back here in the summer. He generally goes down to Berry Farm and hangs out and plays ball. He generally has boys. I've seen him. I've made comments before that he could be a senator, or governor of, or a mayor of this area. Like, he generally is like a man of the people of here. Like, that is like genuine. It's not manufactured. Like, people like him. They gravitate to him. He has the respect of his home. Like, he has a feeling of it, and he still loves his community. It's hard for me to get into this hype. So tell me how much of this hype is manufactured. When I talk about the hype, I'm talking, yes, I'm gonna hit on the media or whatever, but it's not so much the media. Like, there is a genuine fan. I mean, these fans are gonna show up tomorrow at the game wearing Kevin Durant jerseys, wearing KD to DC t-shirts. They're gonna maybe boo or cheer him, like you said about the earlier. You mentioned if Kevin Durant's at the free throw line, and are they gonna boo or cheer him when he's trying to get Chick-fil-A Chick-fil-A free sandwiches and you gotta miss both free throws? I don't know. I really don't know. I think they'll boo or cheer them. There is what are we supposed to? I guess my overall feeling, it's hard to ask this question, like, what to make of all this? What are we supposed to make of all this? Because part of me wants to blame the media, because I love to blame media. I know you know this, especially about the Redskins coverage, and I love to go off on the media. I'll needle the Washington Post, I'll needle the Sports Radio, but I'm not willing to. And sometimes I'll defend fans, but on this one, it's a combination of everything. Like, there's like a his mom said some comments today, and there's a perfect storm here of this, and I don't know what to really make of it all. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of things. I think, for one, Kevin Durant is ratings gold. I mean, at the end of the day, all of us on this side who are putting out work. I mean, I wrote about Kevin Durant today, and maybe the last 3 days in a row, knowing he's coming here, and it generates clicks. There's interest. I mean, I also wrote about LeBron a bunch over the summer, even though he wasn't coming here. But again, it's that. I mean, that's just the fact of the reality of what it is that we do. That said, there's only so much you can do if the public is not interested, and obviously you're not going to do it. But then it's also different between writing about Kevin Durant and whereas other stories are maybe more sensationalized. I mean, it's not like I don't think anybody's writing there. There's no National Enquirer story saying, "Oh, Kevin Durant's definitely coming to the Wizards," or my sources say he's coming or whatever. I mean, like today I wrote about. I spoke to a guy behind ShamSports.com, which is like one of the leading NBA salary sites, salary cap, and I just said, okay, let's just play this out. 2016, if the Wizards can do it, what would prevent them from doing it? What would it mean? And he laid it out from the Wizards' perspective that, basically they should have plenty of money available, assuming they don't get any other players, and Durant will get paid plenty, and really, so basically they're in a position to do it. But so are a lot of teams, and I think that's a interesting way to look at it. to me, so I think you can look at that like I've been writing about just how Kevin Durant's been playing. People were interested. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league. And look, let's be realistic. The Wizards have been terrible for the majority of most people's lifetimes. Since the late '70s is the last time they won a title. There was a blip with Gilbert and Antoine where they were good. The excitement of Chris Webber and Juwan, but for the most part, it's been a mess. So to have the thought that one of your guys could come back and play here, you got to take that run. People are embracing it. I will say though, I mean, I guess the question is, are people going too crazy too early? Probably. I actually thought on some weird level Durant getting injured in the beginning of the year probably helped slow the roll down a little bit on this because he wasn't out there on a nightly basis. But I don't know what, it's just hard. I mean, I don't want to point like anybody out there and say, oh, you're making too much of a deal. I think sometimes all of us probably go a little bit nuts on the Twitter and elsewhere about this conversation. But it's easy, it's fun, and people want to be excited about it, and I don't blame them, especially because the Wizards are playing well. And it's for the first time in forever, you can realistically say if the Wizards were to add this guy and Wall and Beal keep progressing, why wouldn't the Wizards be one of the true favorites to actually win the title?
Yeah, it's funny. Like Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons have talked about how the NBA has been really successful making their league like essentially like 11th month league. In the sense that like we talk about the draft, we talk about free agency, the summer league. There's like a lull in August, but like we've been able to like, or there's almost the last few years with all these free agencies and everything. Like there's more attention and chatter in the offseason of the NBA than there ever really has, and part of that, I think the negative part of that is, let's say the negative part, like the fallout is like here we are talking about what Kevin Durant's going to do in 2016, and here it is, a year and a half. And my point, it's like I feel torn because I mean Dan Steinberg wrote two good pieces about this today, and he quoted Kyle Weedeye who runs Truth About It. People that are watching this, and a friend of mine that has a similar kind of feelings, even though we disagree on a lot of things, and Jake at Bullets Forever, who's been pumping up this KD to DC things in a kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, but it's all about the clicks. And Dan will admit that it's about the clicks. Jake will admit about the clicks, and we don't do as much about the clicks, but we did write a post once about Kevin Durant, what it would mean on the team when we actually broke that down. And I get it. Fans are happy, and I never want to pump the brakes on fans' happiness, but I don't want to pump them up into a way where they're disappointed, especially when this team has been so bad over so much years, and here we have a legitimate 50 to 55 win team, and I feel like the focus should be on that and not so much about what Kevin Durant's going to do in a year and a half. And I feel like if it was about what, like he was a free agent in 3 months, that would be the focus. Now, I'm not gonna be a hater, an old curmudgeon like Kornheiser and Wilbon or someone like that to say like don't have fun and the NBA is fun. This is entertainment and it's barbershop and who's gonna be who and it's the bar stool and so and like hey, I run into people. I tell them about the Wizards like hey, is Kevin Durant gonna come here? And like that's all fair and game. Like I think I'm not gonna ever throw cold water on any of that. Just sometimes I feel myself I'm caught in dichotomy between both sides of like trying to be realistic, trying to be like fun and happy, and I don't know where Kevin Durant really stands. And so here's my question to you: is actually before I get into my main question, is that you interviewed Ty Lawson, who is from the area. This area is a big time, and they're all boys: Jeff Green, Roe Hibbard, Ty Lawson, Dante Cunningham. Now you get the new crew with Victor Oladipo. Even Thomas Robinson. Eric Green, Jared Jack. I talked to you the other day. You talked to Ty Lawson in an interview, and I kind of want to, have you touch on that conversation that you have because I think maybe I'll have some insight of, kind of being from home and what it's like to be here and being home in this area because I think it's maybe different than a lot of other parts of the country.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I talked to Ty Lawson when he was here earlier this season, and I just asked him about the idea of had he ever thought about it. I mean, he wasn't really Wizards were never really an option for him. He also didn't really hit free agency, but with John Wall here, not really an option for him per se. But they have the idea of playing at home, and he said sure he thought about it. He also said something that Durant said when I asked Durant this question a year ago, and that is apologies. That is, it may sound silly, but like you got to buy all these tickets for these games. It's not the money. It's not, and that's not that he would have to buy the tickets himself each game. It's the more you are here, the more people you know, the more opportunities there are for others to ask you for stuff and to be constantly wanting things and and Durant seems like the kind of guy that probably would want to oblige. And if you're living elsewhere, people, but it's as we all know, if you're not from this area originally. I am. I still have to deal with all my with all my relatives and different people, and sometimes you just want to like hang out on your couch on a Sunday, but you're getting these calls to do this or that. But anyway, so there is a lot of stuff that goes to it. I mean, it sounds great to just come home and be embraced, but there's a reason why people move out of town, and I don't think it's any different for athletes. So I think that's part of it. So but Ty Lawson and Ty Lawson kind of said as much, but he also said, hey, I mean, the idea of playing home would be tremendous as well. So the one thing I'm concerned about with all this to some degree is it became really overwhelming there for a few weeks over the summer. I mean, it was like just a relentless discussion, and you almost wonder, seeing that, does any of that scare Durant off, turn him off, be like, you know what, I got a good thing in Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook. I'm here. I've established myself here. I can still win a title here. I don't have to go home. I don't know. We'll see. But again, people, until told otherwise, people should embrace this. And going back to the Wizards aspect of all this, we talked in the earlier version of this podcast about just the different things. Going back to that Ariza decision, whether you thought at that point or not Durant was a realistic option, and we'll find out, but they put themselves in a position by saying, look, we're going to let Ariza go elsewhere, essentially. We're going to get Paul Pierce for the next 2 years. Almost all their contracts have been based with 2016 in mind. They are putting themselves in a position to make this power move, and it doesn't always work. We see this every year for agency where teams do moves, and it doesn't work. But the Wizards are doing these moves, still being competitive now, are positioned to get Durant if he wants to come here later. To me, that's impressive that they've been able to do that. So it's not like they're sort of gutting their team to then have to see if maybe in 2 years he shows up. Worst case scenario, he doesn't show up. You have John Wall, Bradley Beal, Gortat, Otto Porter, and tons of cap space.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier your piece that you had with the guy from Shan Sports. I think that is because basically what's going to happen is Nay's going to come off the books. Bradley Beal is going to be up for an extension. The salary cap is going to go up. We don't know how much yet, but with the new TV money, it's tied into the CBA, which increases. There's a whole little thing about when that happens and how much. It's even tied into LeBron, I guess, where he might even take a 1-year contract next year just so he can get. I think Kevin Love as well. I think where they can take a 1 year next year just because the following year they would get the further money. But the Wizards are set up. Can you go? You just mentioned like how did the Wizards set them up for this money? You wrote a really good piece about it. I just want you to maybe just play it out a little bit more for the people that are who don't know the empirical evidence behind the move of the Wizards, because it's one thing to say like, oh, we have Kevin Durant, and like you said, like everyone's gonna have money in a couple of years, but like how have the Wizards structured themselves financially and contractually to make this a go? Because I think that is also key to this.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be the salary cap guru, but the basic gist of it is, other than Wall, Gortat, Beal, and Porter, along with technically Humphries and Blair, those are the only players they have under contract in 2016. But I think Humphries and Blair, they're team options at that point, so they could get rid of them if need be. Otto will still be on a rookie deal, so he's easily tradable if needed. So, Paul Pierce, they signed to a 2-year deal. Andre Miller, Drew Gooden, Rasul Butler, these guys are 1-year kind of deals. So, um, so basically they just, and Nene is a free agent at that point as well. So, they have some decisions to make. What Nene wants to stay, who knows what his world looks like in 2 years. But basically, they haven't put themselves in any terrible bad contracts. Not to say Ariza would be a bad contract, but if you're signing Ariza for 4 years, $28 million, you're basically saying we're not getting Kevin Durant. You could always try to trade him, but that now you have to do something else. What's also worth noting, though, is a bunch of teams in the league, a lot of them, are also going to be in position after 2016 to make a move. The thing, though, is the Wizards have this, in Durant's case, the one trump card, perhaps, of only they have a hometown. Nobody else does. The Knicks don't, the Lakers don't, whatever. So, ultimately, it kind of comes down to that. Is that ultimately what sways Durant? The money will be, in essence, the same everywhere, I guess, other than maybe Oklahoma City to some degree. But if he wants to come home, the Wizards appear at this point to be positioned to do something, which is why also you got to be careful with people who say right now they want them to go make that big move. Well, if you take on money today, it could impact you tomorrow. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, in the piece that once again, Kyle, who's probably not going to ever watch this far, but he mentioned today in Dan Steinberg's piece in the sports blog about his key concern was like the overreaction of fans. Would this push Kevin away? Like all this, like he said about, here he is. He went from the Broncos back to Cleveland, and then all of a sudden, everywhere Kevin Durant went. Like we're not just talking about the media. We're talking about Kevin Durant just like hanging out with his people. And he mentioned how like a 4-year-old came up to him. Like he said that just unannounced. No one even asked that question. Like, a 4-year-old's like, "Are you gonna come back home?" He's like, "I don't even know what you even knew that free agency meant." I think that's actually true. Kyle brings up the point. How much do you think this fan infatuation or this fan movement of KDB that I have mixed feelings about? You think that would maybe push him away, or is that too much of concern, or who really knows?
Honestly, who really knows? That's kind of why I was interested in the whole salary cap aspect of it. This stuff, we knew some of this already, but that's the practical stuff that we can look at. The rest of it, what's in Kevin Durant's mind, I have no idea. He loves the area. We at least know that much. It's not as if he decided he didn't want to come here, it wouldn't be because he doesn't want it. He doesn't like it. He comes back all the time. It's just, who knows? And, again, it's so far out. We have no idea what happens. If OKC, I'll assume they're going to make the playoffs. If they have a good playoff run with Westbrook and Durant and Ibaka, Steven Adams, who knows? Maybe they decide he looks at the picture and says, you know what, the Spurs are getting old, the Lakers are whatever, the Clippers are bogus. Maybe he and Russ say we're going to run it back and keep it going here. On the other hand, who knows? Maybe things go wrong. They don't make the playoffs, or they get bounced early. He starts thinking this isn't the way to go. Who knows? The fact that there's an entire other season. I remember how it was insane for the LeBron the first time in particular. That was nuts, and this isn't quite there. But it's gonna, it's probably gonna get more intense as we go into next year and so on. So, all you could do is, like I said, enjoy the ride. Dream if you want. There's some reason to be optimistic, but at the end of the day, it's, what you think? The people of Cleveland know until LeBron published the letter that they were officially getting him, and look how long that took. So we'll see.
Do you think that, I guess my concern, the reason I want to pump the brakes sometimes with fans, which makes me, I've got some tweets tonight of a guy that I'm kind of a hater, but I don't even care about that, is that in the sense that are fans being set up for disappointment? Are they being hyped up for disappointment? And I don't think it's like how it was when the Nets cleared cap space for Dwight, when the Bulls went after LeBron, or the Knicks went after LeBron. I think it's a little different. Or how Cleveland maybe felt when LeBron left. I think that's maybe a little different. Or fans getting – that is my concern because, like I said earlier, there's like the Wizards have a good thing going, and their fans getting set up too much where if Kevin Durant doesn't come, do they feel deflated, or does that really not matter? Or am I just over worried and over concerned about this? If fans are just gonna have fun, if it happens, it happens. Whatever. It's cool to talk about, and then I don't really care because Durant stays. But like, I just don't want to get putting there's so much hype that we're supposed to see tomorrow night at Verizon Center, and that is more of a concern because I don't want to. So I don't want to. Once again, I hate playing. I'm making no sense to anyone listening, but I hate playing. So I will take a position very strongly, but I don't want to throw cold water, but I don't want to light the flame. So I kind of want to be in the middle, which is not my position on any topic ever. If anyone
I mean, that's the thing. What is the middle? There is no middle. I mean, unless Kevin Durant comes out and says I'm not going to DC, there is no middle. I mean, there's again LeBron James was thought to be staying in Miami, thought to be going to Cleveland. The Rockets were after him. The Bulls. I mean, lots of people get excited, and I mean, this is just the game. If you want to play the game of being a sports fan and you really want to go at it, then you got to wrap your arms around whatever the thing is and go for it. In this case, there's a reason. I mean, the biggest thing about all this is that the Wizards are good, and because the Wizards are good, it's believable, and that ultimately is the thing. If the Wizards stunk, this wouldn't be believable. So as long as John Wall's good to go and Beal's better, it's believable. If Durant ultimately passes, again, at least, well, what are you going to do? But sometimes, you got to get in the game, and for the first time in forever, the Wizards are in this game of being, as far as we can tell, of going for a guy. And I think as a fan, you have to embrace that and hope for the best.
God dang it, Ben! You're convincing me. You're convincing me on this. Okay.
Well, but again, I also don't think you should spend the next 18 months all consumed wearing the DC jerseys.
What do you mean? The guy? You see the jersey the other night? The guy had like an Ice Sniper jersey, like two rows behind. For the people out there today. So today I was at Wizards practice. Before we're gonna finish up, I got one more question for Ben, and Ben's got to go. I was at Wizards practice today, and the questions are: Sixers win, OKC, Kevin Durant, and I'm ready to ask women a question, and I'm ready to ask women a KD to DC question. And the question I'm about to ask him is he aware of this? Like, I'm not gonna ask him do you want Kevin Durant on the team? Because whatever, he doesn't want one of the best players. But it's are you aware of all of this that's happening that we're talking about right now? And I chickened out. And I emailed the people that I write with, and they're like, I thought that women would kill me with lasers of his eyes. Ben, could you ask women a KD to DC question? Could you do it?
Could I? Sure. I mean, it's a fine line. You have to know how to ask Randy Whitman questions if you want to get a reasonable answer out of him. Not to say that it's it's like with anybody. I mean, he's not a guy. If you ask him a direct question, he's going to swat it away Matumbo like. You have to figure out a way to sort of ask a question. It's obviously sort of tricky, and he's not. I mean, I think part of it is he can't say anything even really at all because as a coach,
right?
Huh? Right.
Isn't it tampering, dude?
Yeah, exactly. So he really can't say anything. So it's one thing to say, hey. Derrick Rose is playing really well this year. What do you think? It's another thing with Durant. How are you going to go? But I don't know. There'll be a way. I mean, all these questions will get asked one way or the other. So yeah, we'll come up with something, or somebody will. And I mean, he doesn't live under a rock. But again, at the same point, and if you're Whitman, you got to be thinking, hey, what? Look, we're doing pretty good right now. What are we in second place in the East? I mean, if let's focus on 2014 and 2015. And I'm kind of that way to some degree. Like I said, I think there's reason to be excited, but I don't want don't sleep on what's happening now. The Wizards are in a position they haven't been in forever to actually potentially win the East, and that shouldn't be overlooked just because of some potential pipe dream, even if it's an exciting one.
No, I agree. Except this is how we're gonna finish this Kevin Durant conversation. I probably won't discuss this until the next time the Wizards would play. So anyone that's listening to this, any Wizards fans, so is it Here's the thing I cannot answer about the Kevin Durant and Washington D.C. thing. Is it better if the Thunder win the title and then he can say, like, he's a loyal guy. I won you a title. I'm going back home. Or is it he is not able to win the title there, and they have come up short, and I'm going to go back home with John Wall and Bradley Beal and a young nucleus, and we're going to, get some other dudes. I'm going to be like LeBron, how LeBron has been, to just get cats to come in. Is that better for this question? For Kevin Durant to come to Washington, D.C. to play for the Wizards, is it better for the Thunder to win the title or not win the title? Ben. It's a really good question.
I don't know if it's
Tough
better
one.
or worse, but I would say this: if he's going to win the title, it would be better this year. Because I don't think if you win a title, you walk away from that team. So if he were to win the title in the 2015-16 season, seems like you'd want to run that back because repeating as champion is a whole other level of just being a champion. So if he's going to win it, you would probably want him to win it this year, I would think. That said, if he were to win it, then he could be like, well, I don't feel guilty leaving, so I can go. But I don't know. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's fun to talk about. I mean, I don't mean this like negatively, but like we've already discussed it. I mean, this is the day to discuss it because he's playing tomorrow. It's interesting. Like I said, it's worthy of discussion. It's worthy of getting excited over. Where everything else is just speculation. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that I think you're right in the sense. I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, I think that they're not going to win the title in the next 2 years. And so, I mean, they're probably going to make the playoffs this year. I think they're probably a piece away. I think the Warriors and Rockets are better than them, and the Mavericks are better than them. I mean, they obviously can, or even Memphis. I think they're maybe the fifth best team now. If Westbrook is playing out of his mind and he's playing out of his mind, that this it's not to say that they can't be in the Western Conference Finals, but I just don't see. I don't see the Thunder winning it in the next 2 years. So I think they won't win it. I think he's a loyal guy, and I think it'd be easier for him to leave if they did win it. I just don't see them winning it in the next 2 years. That's my answer, which is another cop-out answer for the people out there. But yeah, so we're gonna end this right now because Ben needs to go home, and I need to go to bed, and we have rambled along forever. And thank you so much, Ben, for your time. I was gonna talk about execution, and I hate you. I hate you. Stop asking me. I hate you. I don't know. Actually, let's just end on this. What player you've interviewed would ever say I hate you? Is there anyone out there you could name?
Oh, I can't think of any. I mean, I'm not that guy, so no, I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, I think JaVale McGee would say he hates me, but I don't know. I just don't like him. So there you go. That's a Russell Westbrook. We had Paul Pierce the other night. Did a really funny bit of Russell Westbrook. Maybe I'll end with that. Ben, thanks so much, man. I appreciate everything tonight. We had a little technical difficulties, and we'll jam out. Are you going to be at the arena tomorrow night for people?
Of course, I don't sit through the Sixers games to miss the Thunder, so I will be there.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate everything, man. And I will definitely make sure that everyone reads all your stuff. And thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, man. Peace.
Peace, dude.
Come on, man. We executed. We executed, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
Well, thanks, man. Catch you later.
Sure.
Come on, man. We executed. We executed, man. We executed. We executed. Any more questions? I don't like it. We executed. We executed. Nah, what's up? What's up?